Hey guys! In this episode, we're going to talk about finding love after you left the cult and after you left a high control religion, and it deeply affects us, especially when you were born in, but it is possible. And there is a saying that every pot has a lid. You just have to find the matching lid. And that is kind of what dating is like. Even though you meet so many weirdos or people that just don't click with you, there's going to be the one person out there that you will click with. You just have to find him. And so here's my story on how I found my lid. It all started with my cousin saying, you really need to talk to like a few people at the same time. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. And for me, I felt like that was kind of like not ethical almost. It felt kind of wrong, but I understand what he meant, because otherwise you start wasting a lot of time for one person who's also talking to a few different people. You just kind of want to see who you click with, and a lot of those conversations online don't go anywhere. A lot of people have poor communication skills because they don't want to call, they don't really text, they don't ask you any questions, and they answer with one word. This is some dating advice. If somebody's trying to talk to you online and you're interested, keep the conversation going. It's really not that hard. Ask questions. And that is dating advice in general. Ask the person questions. It keeps the conversation moving along. Plus, you're finding things out about the person. And on top of it, people like to talk about themselves, so they feel like you're interested in them. So you kind of get bonus points on every level. But for some reason, that's like failed communication to so many people, and it's kind of frustrating. But anyways, I was talking to a few people, and two guys were kind of texting me, and I was back and forth, but it was also a very busy time at work, and so I feel like I wasn't even really in it all the way myself because I was so busy. And then you kind of get burned out a little bit too, because you keep thinking, oh, another dead end. Oh, this is so frustrating. And you don't know what the future holds. You don't know, am I really going to meet someone nice out there? And some of these guys, they leave you frustrated too when they pretend like they want a relationship, but then they leave you hanging and they don't text back. And I felt like I don't have time for that. Like, I don't want a player. I want something like real, So anyways, the one guy, he asked if we could meet for coffee. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Because at this point, I was kind of like, meet him early, feel the vibe. Then you're not like talking for weeks on end without having to know if you even click. So, and I was getting kind of used to going on dates with people. That's the good thing about it. You start building a little bit of immunity to weird situations or rude people. It just becomes like, all right, another date. And so I said, okay, let's meet for coffee. Let's call this guy Vincent. And Vincent was like kind of, let's again meet at Panera. That was kind of my spot to meet, felt safe and all. And so I get to Panera, try to get there early to get my coffee already, and he gets there early as well. And again, this much older guy than his pictures. I do not even think his age was right. I'm pretty sure he lied about it. And I felt like I was meeting my grandpa. And he got out of the car, and I did recognize him. It's just he looked a lot older. And he was just, I guess, nervous. So he brought like a towel to wipe the sweat off. And poor guy, like, I feel for him. It was just kind of like, oh man, this guy. And so he's very nervous. And he says, I don't want to go for coffee. Can we just go eat? And I'm like, okay. So there's a little restaurant nearby, and and he tells me just to pick something. And I'm like, all right, let's go eat Thai. I love Thai. Do you like Thai? And he's like, I don't care. Wherever you want to go. And so we get to the restaurant, and he takes my hand and starts praying. I respect everyone's faith, and I respect that he feels like doing that. It's just a little weird to do that on your first date. Like, without my consent, too. He's just on a date, really? Just seems so, and then it seemed so showy because he's praying out loud. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like it. And I really don't want him to order food and pay for me because I'm already feeling like this is just not really, it didn't click. And so instead of ordering food, which I did not usually do this, I didn't feel unsafe with this guy. He was a dad and everything. But I said, I'm just going to order a glass of wine. And I wanted to pay for myself. And so I order wine on an empty stomach. And he's like, you better get food too. And I'm like, oh, I'm okay. You know, I didn't really want, I just wanted to get, you know, no, I wanted to meet for coffee. And he's like, he was really grumpy about it. And the reason I didn't want to order food was because I already wasn't feeling it, and I didn't want anyone to have like any who's gonna pay thing. And then he's huffing and puffing and saying, I don't even like Thai food. I've never had it before. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, you didn't really have an opinion where to go. I just picked a restaurant because you said you were hungry. Oh boy. Should really order food. And I'm like, okay. So I order food. And I had this wine. I was feeling a little funny. And we go and we eat. I really tried to pay because I already knew, like, I didn't want him to pay. But he insisted, and that's fine. And then we walk outside, and I just really don't want to spend more time with him because it just was not nice. I told him I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and he just gave me like a death stare. And it's funny because people look at you like you made this choice. Even if someone grew up like weird, like Scientology, I wouldn't blame them, but it's also because I grew up weirdly, you know, but I definitely felt judged, and this was not going anywhere. And so he said, what do we do now? And I said, go home. And I actually think he was fine with that too. I looked like his daughter. He looked like he was on a date with his daughter. And there was probably a significant age difference. Plus, he probably looked older than what he was. And I look a little younger than what I am. So it just didn't mesh well. And that's okay. So I went into my car. But now I had drank this glass of wine. And I was feeling a little, funny, funky, happy, also sad, all sorts of emotions. The sun was setting, and I'm in this parking lot, and it's beautiful outside. And I put my head on the steering wheel, and I think, oh, this is so stupid. I hate this. I just want to be done with this. This is so dumb. It didn't work out, and it was a Friday night, and I just was like, ugh. And I get a text message on a Friday night, and it was from the other guy. And we will call him Joey. The other guy was kind of texting with, and I thought, well, look at him texting me on a Friday night. We've been texting back and forth for a little bit, and nothing really serious or anything, but I thought it was so sweet that he was texting me on a Friday night, because I felt like, look at this guy, he's not out partying or at the bar. He's my kind of guy, my kind of speed. And because I had drank that glass of wine, and I really don't drink a lot of times, and that one glass hit me, I was feeling frisky. And I thought, well, let me call this guy back. And isn't it just the absolute worst when someone texts you and then you call them back? It's so rude. But I did it because I felt like this guy's home on a Friday. I'm calling him. And so I was in the parking lot after my bad date, and I called back Joey. And Joey on the other end thought, oh, what the heck? Why is she calling me? Oh gosh. And he picks up the phone and we just talk. We talked for over 2 hours. It just clicked. I'm so happy that I called him because it was so easy to talk to him on the phone. He was so interesting and he was just so cool. And so after the phone call, he texts me and he's like, it would be really nice if we could go out on a date. Well, this was the weekend that the kids were at their dad's. That's kind of when I would always try to go on dates. And so I said, hey, I'm available tomorrow after work because I worked on Saturday that weekend. And I said, we can meet in the middle. And he said, no, we will meet. We won't do that because you worked all day, so I'll come to you. And we're going to meet for coffee. So I thought that is such a nice thing because a lot of guys didn't want to invest because they probably already figured it wasn't going to go. So everybody wanted to meet in the middle all the time. But this guy, he felt like compassion toward me. I worked. He was off work. He's like, I'm driving. And so I got there first to the coffee shop the next day. And he walks in, and you could tell right away he was just a nice guy. You could tell. And so we chatted there for a little bit, and then we started walking and just talking. And immediately, it just felt so right immediately. Like, it's kind of almost like I knew that this was the right guy, and he was so sweet. And me always worrying about how are we going to split the bill. And I'm not saying this is the right or wrong way. I just thought that he was so sweet. He's like, look, I would just like to let me pay for you, okay? And it wasn't even about the money. It was about me not knowing how to handle that. And he's like, I'll get it for you. I will always get it for you. And I'm like, aw. And I was a single mom who was struggling. So that was extra sweet. He was so caring from the beginning, always. And so we walked and we talked and we laughed, and the wind was blowing in the hair in my face. And so he goes, maybe we should walk in the other direction, then the wind will blow your hair back and it's not in your face. And I'm like, duh, yeah, why did I think of that? So we changed directions, and then here's a tip for dating. Let the other person know, and you can do this even if you're shy, even if it's awkward. Kind of touch their arm. It's a subtle sign to let someone know, hey, I kind of like you. I'm not a really flirty person. I think I'm more goofy and funny. So it's hard for me to flirt, but I do want to let someone know, I'm interested. And so I would just touch his arm while we're walking, and then subconsciously I think it lets somebody know, like, this girl likes you. I also would laugh and smile at him. Let them know with your body language. Smile, make eye contact. But it was just going great.
Our date was actually going so well that we were on our date a few hours, and there was a bathroom break where Joey went to the bathroom and I had a minute. And my cousin texted me, and I'm like, this is going great. And he was so excited. And he goes, all right, it's okay for you to kiss him on the first date. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Not on the first date. And my cousin's like, why not? Do it. Who cares? If you feel it, do it. And again, I love him for this because he kind of gave me that push to make me feel okay. He gave me the push to it's okay. It's not forbidden. You make your own rules. You don't have to live by the rules of the organization, and you just be free. Follow your gut. If you're feeling it, there's no harm in kissing him. It's okay. And thank you so much for doing that because I needed it, and it ended up being just the perfect, wonderful first date.
And we got ice cream, and it was hot, and the ice cream was melting, and I had gotten like some dairy-free coconut ice cream and it wasn't melting, and his ice cream was melting all down his arm, and he's trying to like catch up licking it, and he's looking at me, and it was just so cute. And we laughed, and he's like, why isn't your ice cream melting? I'm like, I guess it's the dairy. I don't know. Why is this not melting? But we just laughed the whole time and just clicked. And then we sat down at a bench, and I'm sorry, I'm going to kiss and tell because it's way too romantic to keep it to myself. I have to share the details. We sat down on the bench, and he says, is it okay if I kiss you? And I just didn't even think that I could kiss someone on the first date at all. But he was so endearing. I said, yes, okay. And then I guess he was hesitant for a minute, and I said, I'm waiting. I don't even remember this, but he remembers it, and we just always laugh about it. And so that was the first kiss. I thought I was drunk. I had no alcohol on this date at all. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get a DUI driving home. And meanwhile, I'm like, I didn't have any alcohol. It's just, this kiss like made me just fireworks, everything. I was giddy, grinning ear to ear. I just couldn't even believe it. And so we started dating, and it was just so wonderful. At the same time, I had enrolled in community college, and I loved it so much. I was taking a psychology class, and the psychology class was really good because they teach you a couple of things about relationships. And one of the things was I took the Myers-Briggs, the 16personalities.com. And yeah, it was so accurate for me. I'm an ENFP, spot on. If you've never done this is a really telling thing, I think, to also find the right partner for you, because we are all different people, and with some people we mesh well and with others we don't, but it has to do with personality. And it has to do with love languages, too. I think that's another very important test to take in a relationship, because your partner may be trying to show you that he has love for you, but his love language is so different than yours. So I would suggest taking the love languages test. That's very important. But also, if you want to learn more about your personality and how well you go together with someone else, take the 16personalities.com Myers-Briggs personality test. It was so telling. So when I had taken mine, yeah, I'm an ENFP, totally fine. That was not news. Like, I read about me and I'm like, yes, this is me. But when we started dating, I'm like, hey, Joey, you should take this test, like the Myers-Briggs. I'm so curious what you are. And so he took it, and he's an INFP. And when I read his personality, this is what I needed. This is the man that I needed, especially after everything that I went through. Because I know they say that good guys finish last and all that stuff, but I needed a good guy. And I needed like somebody who had a lot of empathy and is very nurturing and has like a lot of feelings. That is what I needed. I needed a sensitive man. I love that. I don't know why we don't normalize for men to be sensitive, because everybody is just different. And for me, this was what my soul needed, especially after I had all these trust issues. I thought that I was ruined. And I really didn't think it was even fair to date people, and then I have such trust issues that I didn't know if I could ever trust again. Well, when I met Joey, he made me feel so secure right away. And that is also an interesting psychological thing. We all have different attachment styles. So I think that after everything that I had gone through, I'm probably anxious attachment. I don't think I was like that when I was younger, but I think with everything that I had gone through, my attachment style probably changed. And I'm pretty sure that Joey's a secure attachment style, which is so perfect for me, because instead of getting mad at someone and calling them crazy and saying, oh, she's so clingy, and all these terms we throw at people, we don't realize that people have underlying issues that had happened in their life with them. And so maybe we could give people some grace and just operate with so much more loving kindness and understanding, and not put these labels on them, but understand that they have had a hard time in life. And Joey made me feel secure. He was so open with me, and he just was not secretive. He just always reassured me. That is what I needed. Absolutely. I always say, like, he healed me, because I never think, where is he? What is he doing? I thought that I would always do that in a relationship. And with him, I just never even have a thought of, like, I beyond trust him, because he's just such a good person. And I know him so well, and reading his personality type was so telling for me, and also how an INFP and an ENFP click together. We're like a golden match, and you could tell right away. I mean, I knew I loved him right away, and I think he felt the same way. We just knew. So it kind of went from, I was determined, I'll just kind of date when I don't have the kids, which I had them full time. They went to their dad's every other weekend. And I thought, I'm just going to date on every other weekend. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then Joey said, you know what? I'm totally fine meeting the kids. And I just couldn't even fathom it. I just could not fathom it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm going to have such anxiety. I don't know. This is really tough. Like, my oldest one had become a teenager at this point. They'd been through a lot. You don't want to introduce, like, people unless it's, like, kind of serious, you know? So I really just wanted the kids to feel safe and feel loved. But Joey was making me feel that. And they knew about him, but they hadn't met him. And he said, you know what? I think it's fine. It's going to be fine. And I didn't know how they would react. I didn't. Well, we had a really good plan. If you want kids to meet someone, I think it's really good to have like a distraction almost. And so what we did, it was summertime, we went to the water park. And I got there with the kids, and then he came to the water park. And they were having a blast at the water park. It was kind of like, oh yeah, there's mom's boyfriend. And it wasn't even really a big deal. And then mom's boyfriend bought them all the goodies at the water park and snacks, which love goes through the stomach. They were enthralled. And then he went on all the crazy water slides with him. So it actually went totally fine. Nobody really said anything. They were so distracted with being at the water park and getting goodies. It went well. And then it was so good for me to have him in our life too, because he comes from the world and knows how things work in the world, and he doesn't have the same perspective. I feel like he chills me out. And so next up was 4th of July, and I was kind of still feeling like, what are we going to do? I don't know. And he said, yeah, we're done. You got to do these things with the kids. You totally got to do this. It's important. You know, it's when families come together on the holidays. We have to do it. And so he went out of his way, and he got balloons and red, white, and blue. And he got me flowers and red, white, and blue. He just wanted to make it really, really special. And they had a parade in town where you could like decorate your bike, and he'd decorate the kids' bikes. And honestly, they just fell in love with him right away too, because he's just so sweet. He's so sweet. We appreciate him so much. he's what we needed in our lives. He's like the kindness, and they see like how a man can be toward a woman and should be, and toward the kids too. I mean, it just was immediately right. And when there's conflict, we talk it out. He's really, really good at talking things up. And now it almost became Christmas. And Christmas was the funniest thing to me, because I'm like, oh no, this pagan tree, I don't know if I can do it. And then like I have to kind of respect my mom too. You know, how does she feel? And Joey's like, we got to do it. You know, we got to do it for the kids. You got to have these family traditions. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know. And so he packed us all up. And I felt like Clark Griswold. We picked out just the biggest, most beautiful tree. And he brought it in the house. He's like, we're doing this. He couldn't even understand how we even thought it was bad. For him, it's like such a big part of his childhood. And now he was bringing his childhood to us so we could have it. And I kind of feel like he unleashed a beast, because I feel like once we started Christmas, I was ready to go all out. I love it. It is my favorite. I decorate. He unleashed the Christmas beast, because here I am. So I'm going to wrap up this episode, and I'm going to continue tomorrow, and we'll see what is going to happen with Joey. Will there be a ring? Find out tomorrow.